For boxing. All right, y'all. It's been a minute since I dropped one, but I gotta come back with this one. So, we've all seen the saga unfold on social media between Brian Norman Jr. and Boots Ennis. A lot of moving parts there, a lot of players in the equation. You got Eddie Hearn coming out publicizing negotiations. Same thing for Brian Sr. A lot of responses to one another from the two teams. But ultimately, we already knew that Brian Norman was on tap for his fight with Cuevas. Unless him and Boots were able to work something out, and Boots was on tap to make a defense against Jaron Chukhadzhian. Because he put himself in position to be the IBF mandatory. A lot of people don't like that fight. A lot of people feel like it's an unnecessary fight. Team Ennis seems to feel like it's an unnecessary fight. But the reality is, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Okay? I always say, you're a champion when you can defend that belt. And at the end of the day, this is Ennis' first championship. He's in a position where he's going to be targeted by people who are in the IBF rankings, and you got to be ready to defend that against all comers. It doesn't matter if you've already beat the guy before you were champion. This guy's put himself in position. He deserves a shot. If you don't have a unification bout coming up or anything bigger, give the man a shot. All right. If Ennis opts to vacate, which I'm hearing that's an option, then hey, Chukhadzhian gets his shot. That's fair. I don't think it's a good look for a guy who just became champion to be vacating his shot because he don't want to face a mandatory, and because there's this perception out there that nobody wants to fight him, which I don't believe. I just think that, like with anything else, when you're in a situation to make fights, you have to make the concessions to make the fights, and that's not just the responsibility of the champion. So I'm not putting that all on Ennis, but when you got people who already have situations, you don't know what their situations are, you don't know what their plans are. Especially, I'll speak on Barrios and Stanionis. You just don't know what they already have lined up, and the reality is you can only fight one person at a time. The Norman fight seemed like the most realistic fight. They weren't able to get that over the hump, whether it was about $300,000, $500,000, whatever the difference was. The parties that be on both sides weren't willing to make the concession necessary to get that fight over the line. Even though both had made concessions, I think on Ennis' side, they gone up in negotiations. On Norman's side, they gone down in negotiations. They just didn't get quite where they needed to get to make an agreement that happens in boxing. As for the fight versus Chukhadzhian, in my opinion, I hate that Ennis' team didn't win the purse bid, because I know that makes a difference. You don't want to go to Germany and have to defend your belt if you don't have to. I know they had plans to put Ennis back on in Philadelphia. That being said, Eddie Hearn should have bid to win. He got outbid by, I think it was like $250,000 or so. So, he played small ball and got outbid, and now Ennis has to go to Germany and defend that title, or he's gonna have to give up the title, which is, like I said, I don't agree with him giving up the title. I think if you are who people say you are, if you are who you say you are, go to Germany, do it better this time, stop this guy, come back still a champion. And now you're able to go fight anybody in, within the rankings. You don't have to fight a mandatory. You got your mandatory out of the way. That's part of being a champion. The other thing I want to say is, I know that Ennis wasn't in a close fight with Karen, but there were people talking about Ennis getting exposed in that fight. Ennis showed some deficiencies in that fight. Ennis was getting caught in that fight more than we had probably ever seen him get caught. Even though people say the guy didn't do nothing but run. I feel like if you got an opportunity, if you went out there and done something and you didn't do it to the level of your own satisfaction, if you listen to Ennis and listen to his dad after the fight, clearly they felt like they could have done better. Now you get an opportunity to do it again, and nobody's going to criticize you for doing it because he's your mandatory. Go out there and do it again, do it better. Go out there and show that you've improved on the deficiencies that you had in that fight since that fight. Go out there and beat this guy even more convincingly. I know it was a lopsided unanimous decision. But we know you wanted a stoppage in that fight. We saw Ennis throwing punches, leaving his feet spinning around, doing 360s. He was trying so hard to land the right shot on this guy. Couldn't quite get it. I'm not even sure Chukhadzhian was ever on the canvas in the fight. I can't recall right off the top of my head. But I will say that I'm not opposed at all to any mandatory challenger getting a shot at a title. I do feel like it's conduct unbecoming of a champion if you don't give your mandatory a shot. But if you are going to vacate the title, you're going to move up to another weight class, and that is what it is. But my opinion is that if you have aspirations of campaigning as a champion at 147, you have aspirations of being an undisputed champion, you got to take care of mandatories. Everybody's not going to be in a position of a Canelo where he can pick and choose what mandatories he wants to fight. And when you only have one belt, you definitely aren't in that position. So, and the IBF ain't the sanctioning body to play with, especially when it comes to mandatories. So, Ennis, I hope you go ahead and take the opportunity to go out there and beat Karen and do it even more convincingly this time, if that's what's in the cards. And go back to and make an announcement to the, make a what's the word I'm looking for? Make a statement. Make a statement to the 147-pound division. You ain't going nowhere. And let them know that you're the man until proven otherwise. That's what I want to see. That's the mentality I want to see. Because in my opinion, there's no reason Brian Norman can't have his fight. Ennis has his fight the next day, or whatever the period in between is. And then after that, they come back to the table and go back to trying to make that unification bout. We know what the stumbling blocks were before. Let's see if we can't get over and get that done, and then let the cream rise to the top, and then let's see what happens from there. That's all I got on it. D-Lo 404 Boxing. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm out. Peace.